Bats and Stats presented by ScoutTheStatline.com. Brian, as always, here I am, compadre, Ross Jensen. Guys, for us, and we're 4 months ahead of everybody else. Let's be honest. It's ranking season. It's ranking season, Ross. You know what we got tonight?
I do.
Well, I know you know what we got tonight, but guys, do you know what we got tonight? We got catchers. We got the top 10 catchers presented by ScoutTheStatline.com coming at you tonight. Before that, Ross, do you want to say hi to everybody?
Hey, everybody.
There we go. Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get the other thing out of the way. Beers. Let's talk about some beers. You got a beer?
I got
you want to do your beer first? Or you want me to go first?
Well, you go ahead. Please.
Okay. So I got a beer that is from Portland, Oregon. It's Widmer Brothers Brewing, and this is American Hefeweizen. Let's get the little synopsis going on here. Brewed in the family since 1984. We were born then.
No.
In 1984, Kurt and Rob Widmer quit their jobs to follow a lifelong passion of making great beer that could be shared with friends and family. From the very first pitcher, the Widmer brothers sought to make beer that's easy to something, I don't know, the cardboard's cut off and perfect for sipping on the back porch or wherever life takes you. A lot has changed since then, but the truth that started it is all that remains. Great beer brings people together. Prost. I don't know what prost means,
Prost.
but
it's like a cheers.
Like toast?
Prost. Yeah, it's German.
Okay. I'm not German.
Well, there you go.
When Hefeweizen was first brewed, the Widmer brothers knew that they had something very special on their hands. From the floral notes of citrus to the natural cloudy body and refreshing finish, Hef was unlike anything they'd ever tasted before. What they didn't know was that this golden yet cloudy brew would become an international staple of craft brewing and forever known as America's original Hefeweizen.
That's pretty interesting.
So this might be a little bit of a, like, everybody's laughing at me. Like, you've never had that before? Sorry.
You've never had it before?
I don't think so.
Wait, and what's the brewery called again?
Widmer. Widmer Bros.
I am shocked that you've never had that.
Maybe I have. I just seen it and grabbed it. Let's try it.
Let's try it.
Let's try it. Pretty cool little bottle. You know, nothing special. Widmer Bros Hef. See if it's got it. Let's see if it cracks the seal. Oh yeah. So there's this guy that's on TikTok, and I think he's like the Leather Irishman or something like that, and he drinks beers. Man, that guy's hilarious. And he calls alcohol content horsepower. So it's like, this is an 11.7% horsepower. And I think he's Irish. Yeah, he's funny.
Yeah, okay. Looks like a Hef. Sure enough.
It's gonna be good.
Did you get yourself like a lemon or an orange little?
Oh no, I don't drown things like you do. I want the real flavors to come through. That's great. It's great beer.
Yeah.
I don't have everything that the little note said on there. Citrus. Yeah, that's a great beer. You know what it reminds me? You remember when we used to go down to the brew pub?
Yeah.
And have their whitetail wheats?
Yeah.
That's exactly how that tastes.
Yeah.
That's a great beer.
Good times.
Yeah. Good times, great oldies. What do you got, bud?
All right. My turn. I've got a beer from Firestone Walker, which I think I've done on the show before. This one's called Bramblin' on My Mind. It describes itself as an American wild ale with Marion berries, which is interesting. 6.2% alcohol by volume, ABV. What can I say about Firestone Walker? They're from California. I just read a little about us synopsis on them, and apparently they were started on the back end of some vineyard, so they have wine roots, which is kind of interesting. But they decided, a couple brothers decided that they wanted to brew beer. So let me read what it says here about Bramblin' on My Mind. Bramblin' on My Mind is an ode to our original Barrelworks fruited wild ale, Slow Ambic. First produced in 2009 using a little-known local blackberry called the Olali berry, only 240 gallons of Slow Ambic were released, and it became an instant classic. Over the years, we have recreated this beer using different blackberry variants and magnified its character with more and more fruit. Rambling on My Mind is a unique interpretation of the original idea. Blah, blah, blah. We're going to skip ahead. Rambling on My Mind summons an unmistakable jammy bouquet, that of a freshly picked blackberry basket right on your table, followed by rich and opulent berry flavors and subtle oak tannins. This beer will be on your mind from beginning to end. Okay. Now let's see if that's indeed the case, if I can get this thing opened up. Let's check out the pour. I did not expect that.
Up, 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 up. There we go. It's red. Wow.
Yeah, very berry. And I could taste that a little bit when it blew up on me. So it's
I like it.
And I did not expect that to be the case when I bought this beer, because the description on the front was wild ale. But I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. Marion berries probably going to dominate the flavor. Yeah, that's good. Oh, it's like, it's fruity, but it's not overpowering. I was kind of worried it might be a little overwhelming on the fruits and sweetness, but it's not really. You definitely can taste that woven throughout, but it's stronger. I think I'm going to really enjoy this one, actually.
I think I would like that beer. I'm a wine guy, and that reminded me of wine.
It does kind of have a little bit of a wine bite to it. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. I like it. It's a winner. Recommend it.
We're never going to fail you guys. Come on.
Yeah. I just wish I had.
Yeah, you don't think that we had 12 of these before we got on air? Come on. Ooh, I've never had this before. 12 deep, pal. I'm just teasing, guys. This really was my first one.
So what do we got? What do we got on the agenda today, Brian?
We have top 10 catchers for scoutthestatline.com. Now, I do want to preface this just a little bit that these are not me and Ross's rankings. These are, I have a separate ranking for my catchers. Ross has got a separate ranking for his catchers. These are completely from scoutthestatline.com. As we get into this, I think my catchers might have to change a little bit, because there are 3 names. I didn't even know who they were. I'll be completely honest with you guys. I didn't even know who they were. I knew the names, but like they weren't touching my top 10. As I look at them,
list. I mean, and we shouldn't be surprised by that, because it was a surprising. We always have a surprising top 10s on these last year, going back to last year. But nonetheless, these are Scout the Statline's top 10. But we're going to give you our opinions about them, because that's
oh yeah,
good, bad.
It's not like we're just going to sit here and just read off stats. We're gonna We're gonna dive into these guys. If you were with us last year for rankings, these can get fun, for lack of a better word. We're gonna ramble because that's what we do. We get our teeth sunk into something, and we're gonna start talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna be a great time. We got catchers, fellas. We got catchers, ladies and gentlemen. We have catchers. Last year, I'm gonna be a little bit more open about this compared to last year. I think we had a lot more athleticism last year because we did have some crazy guys in there from last year that were stealing bags. We're gonna have it here too, but they were in the upper minors. A lot of stolen bases, a lot of home runs, a lot of more well-known names compared to what we got this year. Might be a little bit because of graduations. Might be a little bit because we've tweaked what has happened within the formula at scoutthestatline.com. My apologies. You want to touch on the tweaks that could have made this affect the top tens?
Well, we did roll out upgrades.
Yep.
Later on in the season, and that definitely had a big impact. One of the things that I think is made a little unique about this is DSL stats are not included. And there is one player in particular that I'm noting that for, because I don't know that he'd be in our top 10 if that was the case. It's a surprising list, and I want to start out by saying apologies to a few guys, because there's some guys on here you're going to expect to hear about that are not going to be listed. And I want to mention them right off the bat. Jefferson Cuero, he's not on here. He's not a big WRC plus guy, and our rankings are heavily based on WRC plus. So that's a big impact to him. Diego Cartaya, he had a rough year. That one's maybe
still my guy.
Maybe not as surprising, but it was a very rough season. Ben Rice had a very good year, but a less sure track record to go along with it. Nathan Hickey, he was in our top 10 last year. He didn't make it this year. And a big one, Harry Ford.
Yep.
Now, some other people out there, rankers, have him as their number one catcher. He's not even in the top 10 here. He's your number one overall?
I agree with him.
You guys are nuts, but he's not even in the top 10 here. I do, in my personal rankings, he's in the top 10. He's probably my fourth maybe, but doesn't make the top 10 here. We're going to have some interesting names coming at you.
Yeah, and I want to circle back to that just a little bit. I believe Harry Ford is my number one catcher. Yeah, I really like Harry Ford. And we're not gonna talk about him tonight, so I'm gonna say it now. Harry Ford's awesome.
Yeah, the only reason that I don't agree with that is just because I think there's a couple out there that are really good, and I don't see how he goes above them. But we'll get to those guys because they are on here.
1, 3, and 4. I can understand who you're talking about. So yeah, we'll get there. I know who you have there. Before we get into that, we're right before Halloween. A little bit of a news update. I've dyed my hair. Typically, I am pretty gray. I'm pretty gray, and I've dyed my hair. I am going to be Tom Selleck, Magnum PI for Halloween. So the mustache, the hair, I'll curl it up. Gonna do some Magnum PI action for Halloween. Ross, what was your costume going to be again?
Oh, I'm going with a Yellowstone theme this year. I'm going to dress up as Rip from Yellowstone. It's, cowboy. I'm going to dress up as a cowboy, but it's going to have a Yellowstone slant to it. I think it'll turn out pretty good.
Makes sense. We're from Yellowstone County, so I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, without further ado, guys, top 10 catchers for the 2024 season, presented to you by scoutthestatline.com. Here we go. And I love the first one here. This is one of my faves. Kyle Teal. Kyle Teal. He is age 21. He was born February 15th, 2002, Ridgewood, New Jersey. He was selected in the draft of 2023 by the Boston Red Sox, round 1, overall pick 14 out of Virginia. Kyle Teal, 6'1", 190. All Kyle Teal did this season, very, very small sample size. And this is the minor league stats. I'm sure Ross will be able to jump into the college stats for us just a little bit, but in 3 different levels, which this is great. This is good stuff. This tells us that the team believes in him. I believe in them. Rookie, A+ league, and AA ball. We had 91 at bats. He batted .363 with an on-base percentage of .482, slugged .495, OPS plus on-base percentage plus slugging is .977, 2 home runs, 3 stolen bases. He only struck out 22 times. He walked 21 times. He had 6 doubles. Everything was right there in front of him. Once again, small sample size, but I love Kyle Teal. What do you got on the college side, buddy?
So I'll walk through first his college stats. I got a lot to share on this guy too.
Yeah.
So he went to Virginia in the ACC. As a freshman, he hit .335 with a .416 OBP and a .526 slugging percentage. Pretty good freshman season. 9 home runs that year. He followed that up with a little bit of a down season as a sophomore. He only hit .276, only slugged .439, but he did walk more than he struck out. So big improvement with his plate discipline that year, kind of hidden in there, despite his numbers kind of lagging a little bit. And then as a junior, he had a fantastic season. He kind of blended his skill sets that he showed off in those first 2 seasons and then advanced it. Overall, he slashed .407, .475, .655 with 13 home runs. So really good junior year, and that culminated in him getting selected by the Red Sox with the 14th overall pick. Since he's turned pro, I mean, he's just been a hit machine. And one thing about Kyle Teal that I think is really notable, especially notable, is he's a really good defensive catcher too. Like really good. So he's gonna get playing time because of that. And I think he's gonna make an impact. It looks like his bat is really strong. He doesn't have a ton of power, but I think that he's probably got a little bit more power than Scout the Statline is seeing. I think it's just too small of a sample size to really get to read into it too much. But overall, he only hit 2 home runs in 114 plate appearances. However, he slashed .363 with a .483 OBP and a .495 slugging percentage. Huge numbers from a ratio perspective. 22 walks and 21 walks and 22 strikeouts.
Yeah. Does he have a comp on Scout the Statline?
He's got a Hall of Fame comp with Scout the Statline of Roberto Clemente.
Oh, that's sad. That's just unfortunate.
So, and this is where I'm saying they're seeing him being more of a spray hitter type of player. I think he's got a little bit more power than that. I think he'll develop a little bit differently than a guy like Roberto Clemente. But right now, they give him an 80 grade for his hit tool and just a 35 for power and basically no speed. So let's throw that out there. That's going to be most of these catchers are going to be all these catchers are going to be basically no speed guys. But really nice peak projections where he's projected to hit over 300 and we're looking at no regression. They're more interesting to me. So 306 batting average, 404 OBP, and then just a 397 slugging percentage. I think he's going to slug a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
Maybe hit slightly less, but I don't expect him to. He's going to have a really strong bat.
Yeah. And you guys can kill me in the comments if you want to, but because I don't follow every major league's depth chart as far as who they have in front of them and stuff like that. But Kyle Teal, I don't think he's got a blocker in front of him. I think he can progress very quickly through the Red Sox organization, and he could be playing as soon as 2025 in the Red Sox organization, in my opinion. I can't think of anybody above him. Can you, Ross?
I think he's got a pretty clear shot
Yeah.
once he's ready.
Yeah.
And SDS agrees with you. They give him an ETA of 2025. So
Cool. And I could get blown up in the comments section on that because I'm not 100% sure, especially with catchers. Outfielders, first baseman, second baseman, all your fielders. I have a pretty good idea. Catcher position's a little bit tougher, especially with the blocking. But you mentioned that he's a really good framer and just a good defensive catcher. So that's only going to speed him up a little bit more. Kyle Teal, guys, is he a go get him, Ross?
I think he's a go get him. I think this
Oh, yeah.
is somebody you're not going to build your team around, but this is somebody that's going to be a huge help for your team. So now
I love it.
Some of the guys at the top of the list are guys you could possibly build a team around. I'm not calling out with Kyle Teal, but this is a really good player that can help you out.
Yeah. Well, we're at 91 at bats. Yes, he's a first round draft pick. Maybe a lot of people know him, but people don't get excited about catchers. I think he's a go get him, and it shouldn't cost you a whole lot. It's going to cost you a little bit, but it's not going to cost you a lot. Go get Kyle Teal.
Agreed.
All right. We're going to speed through this because I feel good tonight.
All right.
All right. Number 9. And number 9 is going to be Anudis Mordon. And Anudis Mordon is with a single A affiliate with the Baltimore Orioles. Once again, the Baltimore Orioles are stacked. He's a 19-year-old. He came out of the Dominican Republic, and he has 128 at-bats. The majority of those are sitting in the DSL Rookie League in 2021 and 2022, but in 2023 he came stateside. He came stateside for, we'll call it a cup of coffee. It was 11 at bats, but that's pretty exciting that he came stateside because we know he's here. And I apologize on the at bats that I mentioned earlier. He's 352 at bats in his minor league career, but this season, let's jump into the season overall. He has 128 at bats in 2023. He has 36 hits, 27 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. The average was 281 with an on-base percentage of 392. On-base plus slugging was 915. Once again, we always talk about that 9 mark. Anything above 9, we really want to start opening our eyes. I don't have a lot on this guy. Was this a surprise for you, Ross?
Huge surprise.
Yep.
I think I'm intrigued by a couple things on here. First of all, the numbers are really good overall across rookie level and single A. He's just 19, still a young guy. I mean, barely 19 even. Played most of the season, barely 19. 281 batting average, 392 on base percentage, 523 slugging. I mean, he mashed. Granted, it was only 12 plate appearances at single A. That's pretty nice. And you have to wonder if the Orioles are kind of pulling off some magic that, they just have great hitting coaches or what it is. But the flip side of that is this is the guy I kind of alluded to. If we had his DSL numbers calculated in here, I don't think he'd be in the top 10 because his track record is questionable at best. it's not very good. In the DSL, across 2 seasons, he's a 205 hitter with only a 263 slugging percentage. That's not very good. So a surprise, and we're talking about 17, 18-year-old at the time, and maybe he's physically developed. Maybe the hitting coaches have helped him unlock his true potential. But this is one that I'm kind of tossing up the red flag about and saying I don't think this is somebody you should be going after right now. I think this is somebody you want to watch and see how he starts out next season. And if he is starting out pretty hot, then then you start getting interested. That's the way that I'm look at Anudis Mordon.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I said this last year. I'm patting myself on the back because the Diamondbacks are in the World Series, but I mentioned this a lot off season that I really liked the way that the Diamondbacks were running their organization. They were right next to I said the Guardians. I said the Guardians and the Diamondbacks were the best organizations as far as minor league systems, in my opinion. Last year, I think the Orioles have climbed up with those three. Love what the Orioles are doing. Really excited for them. So I don't want to. No, I do want to say that I think it's a big deal that they pulled him stateside, even with a pretty piss poor track record the 2 years prior. He did decent this year in the rookie level, and then they bumped him up to the A League. I think that's a big slap on the back from the Orioles organization for Anudis to say, hey, maybe this is a guy that we need to look at a little bit further.
They're really queuing in on his power potential.
Okay.
At Scout the Statline, he's coming in with a 75 grade Scout grade equivalency for power, which is extreme. Projecting for huge power numbers, but again, it's only based on 153 plate appearances. So it's a little soon to make too much of this, I think. He draws a comp to Luke Voigt, by the way. So there's another example of that power shining through.
Well, it probably makes sense why we don't like him then, because he's equivalent to Luke Voigt. I'm teasing. No, keep an eye. I always said Hawkeye. Keep your Hawkeye on this guy. See what he does on stateside. If he blows up, maybe there's something there. But yeah, for me, this is not a go get him. It's not even a buy low or anything like this. This is just a keep watch.
Yeah, we had Jesus. I think it was Rodriguez last year, and he was kind of I see it as the equivalent to this gentleman here, and I don't think he had a remarkable follow-up season this year. So I think we were right on the money on that last year, and I think we're looking at the same thing here.
Okay. Cool. Number eight, guys. This is one that I'm pretty excited about. Pretty excited. And him and Kyle Teal. This next gentleman is going to be Nick Schwartz. Nick Schwartz is with the rookie affiliate with the Oakland A's, soon to be the Las Vegas A's. I don't know how that's working.
Yeah.
Do you have any insight on that?
Yeah. They're moving.
Yeah. Okay. So Nick Schwartz, 5'11", 190 pounds. He's 22 years old. He was born in Bethpage, New York. He went to college in southern New Hampshire, signed as a free agent. He's only got 23 at-bats. So let's pump the brakes. But what's very, very interesting about this, 23 at-bats, right, guys? 17 of them came at the rookie level. He batted 588 with a 667 on base percentage, one home run. They instantly sent him to AAA, and he got 6 at bats at AAA. And he batted 167 with a 286 on base percentage. Like, I want to beat this home as hard as I can. I like Nick Schwartz because I seen the small sample size, but the eye popping numbers. But then seeing the at bats at the rookie level, and then all of a sudden he's in AAA. Like, something's going on. We don't know what it is, but it's got to be awesome.
The minor league systems, the minor league system in general this year is so different than it was in 2022. And we've seen so many players getting pushed super aggressively like we've never seen before. And they're incentivized to push these guys a little sooner. That's the best I can gather. Nick Schwartz, I think, kind of looks like a potential gem picked out by the A's. And I think the A's have been doing some sneaky good deals. I don't know. It does seem like they're doing some interesting stuff to me, and it's kind of getting overlooked by a lot of people.
I think it started last year.
Yeah, well, their team is in such rough shape that people are overlooking them at this point. But I do feel like they've got some interesting little signings like this one. I mean, he was a masher at Southern New Hampshire, and he was mashing in the minor leagues. Granted, mostly it was at the rookie level, and he's 22. Is he still 22? He's still 22.
Yeah, you won't turn 23 till March 7th.
So, I mean, it's notable, and they saw something here to sign him. And I think this guy is probably appropriate to be as a top 10 guy. But the huge caveat here is we're basing all of this on just 29 plate appearances. So the error bars are like extremely wide on both sides, for what this guy could be. We just don't know yet. Not until we see some more. But I'm intrigued.
I am too. The thing that we're doing tonight is completely based off stats, and that's what Scout the Statline is all about, anyways. It's all about the stats. Nothing else matters besides the stats. Once again, that's what fantasy baseball is. It's all about the stats. We don't care that you can frame a pitch. We don't care that you can run to first base in 4.2 seconds, whatever it is. We don't care.
Well, we do to some extent. I mean, in as far as it impacts playing time and
that's what I was getting there. I was getting there. Obviously, you need to have these things, otherwise you're not going to play. But there's something to be said from jumping from rookie ball to AAA. There's something to be said there. That's a big, huge jump.
And another thing that's interesting is how that impacts his ranking and his projections at Scout the Statline. One of the changes that we made with the modeling was we weaved in to enhance age level factoring probability of making the major leagues, which is what level and at what age did they achieve getting at a certain level of the minor leagues, because that makes them X% more probable of being a successful major leaguer. Well, that impacts a guy like Nick Schwartz pretty dramatically, because it's a different story if we're just looking at his stats at rookie level, right? But he gets bumped up to AAA, and granted, his performance there wasn't out of this world by any means, but that probability all of a sudden increases by, exponentially, that he's going to be in the major leagues. So that does impact his ranking on here. And without that, we might not be looking at a top 10 catcher on this system. But because of that new adjustment, he's here. And he's only got 29 plate appearances. The old system, we wouldn't even look at him unless they had 200. So, there are a couple things that are different that allows Nick Schwartz to sneak in there.
Does he have a comp, Ross?
He does. He gets a pretty good comp to Adrian Gonzalez.
Ooh.
It's a good one.
Padres fans unite.
Yeah.
Hey, to me, and I'm going to go out on a limb on this one. To me, I'm going to say go get him. I'm going to say go get him because that's not going to cost you anything. But I think you need to go get him before we see something crazy happen.
I'm going to give a half-hearted endorsement to him.
Yeah.
Like
I don't blame you.
I'd probably be wanting to get a little more of a sample built in there before I get too excited. Because again, I don't really know what we're dealing with yet. But he did come out of the gate super hot. The track record in college looks good at a small school. I do think the A's have been doing interesting things. So like the fact that he's with them is to me a positive because that means they saw something in him. So yeah, I'm going to give like a half-hearted, I'd wait a little bit before I get too excited, but
it doesn't cost you anything.
I'm not opposed to going after him either.
It should cost you $0 to get this guy.
If somebody owns him, you're going to have to give up something, right? They're just not going to give him up for free.
If you drop him, I'll give you can pick up my free agent that I'm going to drop.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Nick Schwartz.
Yeah, Nick Schwartz. I'm very intrigued to watch that next season. Okay, moving on to number 7. We at 7?
Yes, sir.
Number 7, and I would guess everybody listening, even Ross and myself, are probably going to say he should probably be a little bit higher. Edgar Quero with the Double-A affiliate with the Chicago White Sox. He's 5'11", 170 pounds, 20 years old. He was born in Cienfuegos, Cuba. And what he did, we touched on him last year. We were pretty big fans on him last year. But what he did this year, 2 different affiliates, 2 different sides of the spectrum in Double-A. He got traded in the during the year. 256 at bats at one place, 122 or 112 at another. So 368 at bats. He batted .255, had a .380 on base, and slugged .351. That brings us to an on base plus slugging of .731. He had 6 home runs, a far cry from his 17 last year. 76 strikeouts, 72 walks. So that was sexy. Edgar Quero had a good year, not the breakout that we certainly expected at Scout the Statline, but he certainly didn't disappoint. Edgar Quero, what do you think, Ross?
Yeah, so one of our top 10 catchers from last year, and this is a guy that we'd ID'd pretty early on, and I think, we always love the guys that we ID early, and we want a champion and we want them to be successful, obviously. So I remember really queuing in on him in 2021 when he was first making his debut. And then in 2022, had a really strong season across the board. I was really excited for him. Starting 2023, the Angels gave him a very aggressive assignment, and they put him in Double-A. That surprised even me. I was surprised by that. I thought he would be at high A to start the season. They went a little aggressive. The Angels did that a lot this year. with a lot of different players. And it looks to me like it was maybe premature. He didn't do bad, but
Yeah.
he wasn't able to impact the ball like he has in the past. He had excellent plate discipline. In fact, with the Angels, he walked more than he struck out. Eventually, he went from Angels prospect killing organization to the White Sox prospect killing organization. So he went there, and his numbers were better after moving to the White Sox across the board, except for an on base percentage.
Yep.
But he was hitting a little bit better overall. I think that they probably had him work on being a little more aggressive, see if he could make more contact. But overall, it's a decent season. It's just not the season that I think we'd hoped for, and I think he has fallen a little bit in the rankings as a result of that. Still ranks pretty well for us overall. He's a WRC plus kind of performing bat with really good plate discipline. I'm still excited. I just think the move was a little premature to Double A.
Yeah.
And I would not be surprised if next year we see him repeat the level to start the year. And if he's shown the growth that I would expect, because I thought by maybe next year he would be in Double A, then we might actually see more of the Cuero we were expecting this year.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. But I think I'm a little bit more excited than you are. I can kind of hear the tone in your voice, that it's kind of a ho-hum sort of deal. I'm pretty impressed by he was 19 years old. He was 20. He was 20 all year. He was 20 years old in Double A, and he held his own.
Yeah.
He didn't struggle. I don't want to call it struggling. Like, he just held his own. He did a really good job by the stats comparison. I think you should get excited about that. Yeah, he batted .312 last year in A. Got the call up to the Double A numbers, which I'm the huge guy on the Double A numbers. I think those are easily translated into the MLB. He batted .246 with his first affiliate, and then .277 with his second. I love that. I think that looks really good, especially at the catcher spot.
Well, he only struck out 76 times. That's pretty. He's got great play discipline. He clearly does. So I'm still looking for the breakout. I really am. I'm not off of this guy by any means, but I have cooled a little bit. If he would have blown it up this year, then I would have been his biggest cheerleader. Just being a little realistic, it was. You want to see a little bit more, and I think he was just aggressively promoted. Yeah. He didn't miss it. It's not like he mishandled that assignment, though. No. So you could still see, if he has a big breakout next year, even if he started in Double A, and let's say he's performing like he did in 2022 at Double A, then he's going to be in Triple A before you know it, and probably see the major leagues. And he's still just 21 years old. So there's still a lot of promise there.
Super excited about this one, guys. I would say for me, this is a great buy low. If you're having an owner that was like, well, I was super excited about him, he just didn't perform, man, go get him. Matter of fact, he's a go get him for me.
I agree with you. Great buy low opportunity right here.
Yeah. Edgar Cuero, guys. That's Chi Sox.
You don't see too many of them.
All right. Our number 6 catcher on our list is Detroit Tigers, Josue Brasino. Josue Brasino is from Maracay, Venezuela. He's 19 years old. He's a big boy. He's 6'4", 200 pounds. I mean, I don't have a crazy amount to say about him. Last year, he batted 234 in 145 at bats. This year, came stateside, batted 319 in 210 at bats, had 7 home runs, struck out 36 times, walked 30 times, on base percentage of 402, slugged 529. There's that on base plus slugging way above 900. It's 931. I don't have a lot to say, and the only reason I don't have a lot to say is I think um, I'm blinded by what's ahead of him in the Tigers organization, and this is my fault that I didn't kind of scout Jasu. Everything here looks really, really good. What do you got on Jasu
This is kind of like
or Hosway? I'm sorry.
this is kind of like our number 9 Anudis Mordon in a sense, right? Like he he played some time in the DSL. Numbers there were not great. And then he's bumped up this year to rookie and single A level. Numbers are
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
I think the difference I see here is this one's a little meatier. There's more to dig into here and more to get excited about, I think, than Anudis Mordon. So I see an 18-year-old that had pretty productive numbers across the board at the rookie level. Well, he slugged 550 there too. 7 home runs, 325, 404, 550, triple slash, and then promoted aggressively to single A. Numbers are down a little bit comparatively, but still excellent plate discipline. I think there's something here to be excited about. So Josue Briseño, I'm thinking is possibly somebody you definitely want to keep an eye on, more so
Yeah.
than Mordon, and potentially pick him up if you're in a pretty deep league. Chance to
Yeah.
get really. I think this is the moment. I'm excited about this one a little bit more.
Yeah. The thing that really excites me, I think, on the slugging percentage, um, obviously you pointed out that he slugged 550 at rookie level, but he had 7 home runs and 13 doubles in 169 at bats. He kept that slugging percentage up there even at coming into A ball with no home runs.
Yeah.
So he was still impacting the ball like really well.
He's doing all this with excellent plate discipline, and I think
Yeah.
that's notable to me. And this is a pretty big guy. We're talking about now 19, but 6'4", 200 pounds. It's a big kid.
Yeah, and that started the year, so he probably gained another 20 pounds already. Yeah. Let's be honest.
Could He could end up being a masher
Yeah.
down the road, and a masher that's not striking out at a high clip, so that's notable. So yeah, I'm a little more excited about Josue Briseño.
Yeah. I, I always get into that conversation when I know the farm system, when I know what is in front of them. But I always talk about blockers. Who's their blocker? Who's going to keep them from coming into the majors? Dylan Dingler instantly comes to mind with the Tigers. Dingler had a great second half.
Yeah, he did. He really did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one of those things that pops into my brain. My opinion on this is Josue Briseño is keeping a hawkeye on him
Yep.
because I think you could get excited about this. This is a good profile. There's nothing to dislike there.
Yeah, 100% agreed across the board. A little more endorsement here, it sounds like, than our number 9 on this list.
Correct.
even though
All
there's
right.
similarities between the two.
Did he have a comp?
Yes, he gets Omar Narvaez, catcher with the White Sox.
Okay. So nothing to point out.
I think we got a little more offensive upside potential with this guy, though. I'm seeing something that I think is pretty. I mean, the potential is there
anyway. Yeah.